Take out your test, please. Grab a red writing utensil. For those of you who are listening at home, hi. We are going through the chapter 15 test. Here we go. Turn to page 1, number 1. Make this a little bit bigger so I can see one thing. Whoa, way too big.
No communication.
That's not police the rest of the class. Number 1. There are 2 restrictions. M cannot be 8. M cannot be -3. Number 2. There are 3 restrictions. R cannot be 1. R cannot be 5. And R cannot be -5. And it repeats the 5. Number 3, there are 3 restrictions. X cannot be 0. X cannot be -6. X cannot be -2. By the way, quick thing to add, X not equal to 0 is not always a restriction. The fact that there are variables in the basement might mean that X is not 0, but only if there's an X by itself. If that, basically X minus 0. If there's like an X minus 5 in the basement, X cannot be 5. You would not also say X is not 0. That doesn't always automatically happen.
Can you come over here? Why did I'm kind of confused over here.
After I get done reading them, call me over.
Basically.
Sorry. Ever get up to number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, 3 of them. R cannot be 1, 5, or -5. Okay. Number 4, there are 2 restrictions. X cannot be radical 7, and X cannot be negative radical 7.
Oh my goodness.
It repeats. All right, next page. Simplify and find a common denominator if needed. Number 5, obviously there's no common denominator needed, it's already the top. It turns out you factor out a 6a from the top, GCF, and you factor out a 2a from the bottom. That means that the top, the 6 and the 2 go down to 3 and 1. The a's cancel completely. So your final result should be 3 on top is 3, parentheses a minus 3,
Oh my goodness.
parentheses a minus 2, and then the bottom is just 5a minus 9. The leftover stuff.
Do you write all your own tests?
Yeah. Well,
Do you
some of
all-
these, the computer generates some of the numbers, but I manually change the numbers if they're horrible.
Do you like do all the work on the, like finish all the problems for every grade?
I mean, it does format it for me. I don't have to write it by hand. Yeah. And it can generate numbers for me and basically saying, is this a good problem? And no, hit the button.
So how
No,
do you do that?
this is horrible. I just hit the space bar. It just keeps on going through problem until I see one that's good. So sometimes I have to do it for like 5 minutes. Number 6, get a common denominator. You already have one. The top should be x minus 6 minus 4x, but that simplifies down to -3x minus 6 on top.
Wait, what?
If you combine them, it's x minus 6 minus 4x. What that really is -3x minus 6. We're not done, but that's the middle step. That factors pull out a GCF of -3, and left behind is x plus 2. The x plus 2's cancel. Final answer, -3 over x plus 6. I'll just read off the answers from now and we'll work the other ones. Everybody catch up to number 6? That was -3 over x plus 6. Number 7, subtraction. The top is 5m minus 1. And the bottom, I'll accept 2 different answers. You can do either 5 parentheses 3m minus 5, or you can do 15m minus 25. Either way is fine. Number 8, the top of it's a fraction. The top of the fraction should be -3, and that's it. The bottom should be r squared plus r minus 2. Although you could also have r plus 2 and r minus 1 in parentheses. It repeats up to number 8. Number 9. Simplify, and the top, I'll accept 2 answers. You can either have 4n minus 2, or you can have 2 parentheses 2n minus 1. On the bottom, you can just have n squared plus 2n minus 24. Or if you factored that, that was n plus 6, n minus 4 on the bottom. Either way is fine. Number 10, the top should be, there are 3 terms on top, 4b squared plus negative 15b plus 6. The bottom is b squared minus 4b plus 3, or you could have b minus 3, b minus 1. And it repeats up to number 10. If you didn't catch any of those answers, have me repeat them. Number 11, solve and check for extraneous solutions. Number 11, p equals 2/3. 2/3, 2 over 3. Number 12, x equals 10. Next page, number 13, r equals 23 over 3. 23 over 3. If I did a mixed number, it's 7 2/3, but I prefer 23 over 3. Number 4, p equals 6. P equals 6.
Oh my goodness.
And that's it.
I got it right.
Number 15. The formula should be x equals a fraction plus a thingy. Here's the fraction. The top is y minus y1. The bottom is m. And then after the fraction, you should have plus x1. Any repeats on that? Yeah.
What was number 13?
13. R equals 23 over 3. Any other repeats up to number 15? All right, number 16. Solve for f. F is equal to 9 over 5 times c plus 32. No parentheses. 9 over 5c plus 32. So f equals. Number 17. S is a fraction. The top is 2h. The bottom is radical 3. You don't have to get the radical of the basement for this problem. Number 18. What's the length of the one side? 10. Number 19, the solution, x equals 7. If you had x equals 7 and x equals 5, that was sort of correct, but x equals 5 is restricted. That's one of the 2 restrictions. X cannot be 5 and x cannot be 8. So. Number 20, given ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, solve for x. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. The quadratic formula.
Oh my goodness.
Could we have
Are
just
you
put that?
serious?
Yep,
I'm gonna go
that's
back.
exactly what I was looking for.
We didn't have to show us.
You did not have to show work. I just wanted to solve.
If there's a problem like that, can you say that we don't have to show work if we know the answer? Oh my goodness.
Pretty much I'll say show work for credit if I want you to show work. And I always say, like, on a normal problem, showing work is good because I can give you partial credit for it. There were people who tried valiantly to get number 20 by hand. Just remember, you can't use algebra on that because it's 2 different species of x. So, any questions? Yeah.
How many points was that one?
Number 19 was worth 5, and number 20 was worth 4. Number 19 had a little bit more work associated with it. Any repeats up to number 20?
My mom's getting so mad.
All right. Again, there are retakes starting Monday. Think ahead. And I am open to questions. You may want to see. Yeah.
Okay,
Right to one at a time. Good.
I just, can you look at this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same.
There were 2. Okay, people watching at home, go grab a sandwich or something. I'll be right back.
I'll entertain them if you
Or
want.
a bowl of chicken soup.
Chicken
Yeah,
soup.
we'll say.
So, I'm kind of confused about that, whereas
There's one more.
I said eight.
Oh. Yeah, he said, what about, like, a girl?
Yeah, what the heck?
Hashtag judgmental looks.
I know, right? That's what it sounded like.
No, it
Don't
doesn't.
listen to what I'm saying. So I'm talking crazy. Nobody felt.
That was a joke. But I didn't see what you
It's
said.
kind of busted, right? Hang on, I gotta get the.
Wait,
The pen.
wait, he hasn't watched it.
No, I didn't try.
What can I just watch?
At home?
Oh, wait.
Uh,
How did I get 72%?
Would you like me to be the clown to entertain them?
Yeah. Any other specific questions before we start going through the answers?
I might have one.
Okay, we're back, y'all. All right, questions on the test that you want to see worked?
I have a question about.
Yeah. Yeah. Add 10 at the top, maybe the division. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a little quieter, please. I need to be able to hear. Hold over, hold over. Gentlemen. Go, Brennan.
We can redo, but I mean, redo these tests, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Starting Monday.
Can I do it on study hall on Monday?
Well, hold on. We'll do the scheduling on that in the other class. But probably the answer is yes. Except Monday, I have research duties, so we can't do it then. So,
Is it 90 and A minus?
correct.
Is extra credit for like the, doing the,
We just had that asked like 3 times.
oh, whoops, is that
Yeah.
just for this test? Or is it
Correct.
for like the whole semester?
Well, it goes on to the closest chapter test,
Okay.
which would be, actually, that's true. This chapter test goes on quarter 4, and the extra credit speed went on quarter 3. So yeah, that means the plus whatever for the speed thing for quadratic
That
formula.
doesn't go to this test?
It did not go on this test, it went on the previous test. This one you still have an opportunity to fix. The other one, it's frozen in time forever. So whatever you had on your chapter 14 test, you just had plus 10 added to it,
Okay.
to your points. Yeah.
Can you change the date real quick? It's confusing me.
Oh, whoops. Is that?
It's the same, it's the
That's
same.
right. It's just not St. Patrick's anymore.
I don't know, I can't.
All right, questions? Now's the time to figure out how to do the problems that might have stumped you, because a lot of these problems are going to revisit you on the semester exam. Think ahead. Andy first.
I just have a question.
Is
Why,
it-
if it's the closest test, is it not in this test?
Because that offer was for last chapter, and the end of the quarter was last Friday. So we just had no choice. Jack, I need to be able to hear. I can't hear anything here. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What number was it? Number 2? Yeah. Let's take a look. Number 2. Page up, if you will. This is just finding the restrictions. R squared minus 25 on the top. People are making extra noise, I don't. And then R cubed minus O squared. Minus 25R. Plus 25. Ladies. Friends, I'm up here. I'm waiting. Let's try this. When we're looking for restrictions, where do you look? Yeah.
At the bottom.
The bottom. You do not need to look at the top at all. The bottom, does it factor?
Yes,
How?
no. Wait,
Okay, gentlemen, if you're punching holes, that's fine, but do it quietly. How do you factor the bottom?
I know.
Brennan, take over.
You can factor it.
How?
I guess you can do it by grouping.
Grouping, correct. I'm gonna add the opposites.
Dang it, I forgot how to do that.
Step me through this though.
Okay.
There are about 4 or 5 voices. I should hear 0 voices, except the person I call out. Go, Brendan.
Okay, oh yeah, you do the GCF as the first
Of
one.
what? Like what is it?
Which is R cubed plus, is R squared.
Good. What's left behind?
R plus 1.
Our was
Negative 1.
-1. Correct. Keep going.
And then
What comes out of here?
GCF is 5.
Except Murgatroyd.
Negative 5.
If it starts negative,
And it ends then
pull out a negative 25. What's left behind though?
the R plus 1.
If you divide by a negative,
Oh my goodness.
it's gonna be -1. If you look up here, make sure you know how to do that. That's a standard trick by now. When you pull out a GCF, make sure you divide the other stuff by the GCF. If you're pulling out a negative, and you have to if the first term's negative, you have to divide these by a negative. The signs will switch. This works. Pull this out in front, and on the bottom you're gonna have R plus -1, then R squared. I'm gonna do the old-fashioned minus, just to make it more obvious. Does anybody see some of these factors again? Go.
The R squared minus 25 becomes R plus 5,
Yep.
R minus 5.
Correct. What method is that?
It's, oh my goodness, it's whatever it's called. It's,
Starts with a D.
difference of t squared.
Difference of two squares. Rob, Andy, your talking stops.
Okay.
You're on probation for your seating chart. Just saying. Go. Go for it. Name me just a moment, please. Name the 3 restrictions, Brennan. What does this one give you?
R can't be 1,
Correct.
R can't be 5, R can't be negative.
Which one goes with this one?
Negative 5.
R cannot be -5, and then R cannot be what?
5.
Exactly. Those are your 3 restrictions. Russ.
What are you supposed to do? No, the probation.
That means stop talking or I move you permanently.
That is way more clear.
Good. Brennan.
You do number 5.
5.
Sorry, 13. Sorry.
13? Okay. What you need, Rob?
I feel my water this here.
Wait till I get back. Alright, number 13 is an addition problem. It's not quite as bad as people might think. 4R minus 24. I should not hear voices. I can't hear over R squared minus 5R. Plus 1 over that equals 1 over R minus 5. I'm not kidding. Try me if you think I'm kidding. So, do we have a common denominator? Let me see, Eric, take over. No. Which one still needs boosting to be a common denominator? The one on the right. Now, how much more, what is it missing? Rob, take over. Yeah, if you notice, if I factor this, which by the way, factoring is always a good thing, it'll show you the pieces it's missing. You don't have to put everything in. This is just missing an extra R. You just have to put it on top and bottom. So here's what it looks like. 4R minus 24 over R squared minus, I'll just do the parentheses. R minus 5. Plus 1 over R minus 5. Equals, what's this gonna be?
R over R, R minus 5.
Yeah. Do we have a common denominator now? Yes. What can we do? Yeah.
We can add.
You definitely can. There's something that'll make this problem a lot easier.
You can.
Go, yeah. You can machine gun it. What does that mean? Yeah. You multiply every single one of these by the GCF. By R minus 5. Every single one of them. R minus 5, r minus 5. Then watch this. Kind of nice. Here, cancel, 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 cancel. The only thing left is 4r minus 24 plus 1 equals r.
What?
See how that worked? The only thing that was in our way was that this wasn't quite a common denominator yet. We just needed to boost it. Once we do, just machine gun them all down. This thing is not too bad now. It's a shooting cows problem. Subtract 1r from both sides. You get 3r, I'm going to combine these, minus 23 equals 0, because these cancel. Now it's an algebra problem, regular algebra problem. Add 23 to both sides. 3r equals 23. Divide by 3. R equals 23 thirds. Does that make sense? So again, first, make sure you get a common denominator. And then we're going to multiply by it. Everywhere, everywhere. Somebody had asked the other day, if you know the common denominator ahead of time, can you just multiply everything by it without doing this work? Turns out the answer is yes, you can. It is a little bit of a shortcut. Just be sure you have the right common denominator. If you don't, it's going to mess up your answer. Catherine.
Can you do number 14?
14. Let me see. Yes. Is everybody okay, number 2? I need to stay on the middle screen for me to save. Can somebody read that off for me? Catherine, can you read that off for me? Number 14?
1 over p squared minus 6p plus 9
Okay.
equals 1 over p minus 3
Okay.
plus 1 over p squared minus 6p plus 9.
Plus 9? Okay. Do we have a common denominator? Catherine, take us off. Yeah, these two do. Do we have one for everything? No. Which one needs a boost? The middle one. I want to know how much I need to boost it by in order to make this common denominator. First step, factor this. Can somebody factor this for me? It actually does factor. Go.
P plus 3, P plus negative 3. No,
Almost.
that's wrong. P minus 3, P minus 3.
Yes. P minus 3, P minus 3. Same thing here. So Catherine, take over again. What's this missing?
Another p minus
Yeah, another P minus 3, as long as you do it to. Yes, that is the key step to make this problem work. The top is going to look like a 4, and then can you distribute this for me while you're at it?
p minus 3.
P minus 3, and then plus 1. You notice we have common denominator, common denominator, common denominator. Guess what we can do with it now?
You could machine gun it.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, that was a pistol, but you get the idea. These things will wipe out. You're going to multiply this, this, and this by P minus 3, P minus 3. You don't even have to write this as long as you're getting, I mean, I would if you're being careful. If you can just do it in your head, great, but do it around there. Cancel, cancel, cancel. This is all that's left. Yeah, sure. So now, it just looks like 4 equals P minus 3 plus 1. First thing I do, combine these. 4 equals P minus 2. Now it's a nice easy problem. After all the hard work is done, P equals 6. Does that make sense? Again, the hard work is getting the common denominator set up. Once you get it, you usually just machine gun it and all the denominators go away, which are usually the worst part of the problem. And the rest of it's pretty easy. A lot of people, I saw a sizable portion of people assumed it was going to be 4 equals 1 plus 1, and they put no solution. 4 equals 1 plus 1 would be no solution, but the middle fraction is not ready yet. It needs to be boosted. It wasn't ready to machine gun yet. Question.
What if you put both?
If you put both, then one answer to a customer. It's sort of like saying, what's the answer to the question? Well, either x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 2. And I only need one answer. Yeah, it's not gonna fly. Yeah.
Can you do number 11?
Any other questions on this one, quick one? Okay, number 11, back up a little bit. Solve and remember to check for extraneous equations. Now again, get a common denominator. It's 1/2 plus 1/6p. This is number 11. 1/2 plus 1/6p equals 1/2p. Can somebody tell me what common denominator would work on this thing? Andy, take over. 6p. Tell me what I need to boost this by in order to get 6p. Yeah, it needs to be times 3 and times p. Just do it to both sides. Everybody catch that trick? That's a standard trick, and you'll be doing this if you ever do a problem like this in the future. Does this need boosting?
No.
No. How about this?
Yes.
By times what?
3.
3, as long as you do it to.
Both sides.
Everybody with me? Here's what I'm about to do. Machine gun. 3p plus 1 equals 3. That's all there is to it. Now do it. Should be nice and easy. What do you do first? Yeah,
Minus 1.
-1. What do you get so far?
3p equals 4 and then divide by
Yeah,
3.
careful.
Oh, yeah, it's 2.
2. Keep going.
And then you divide by 3 and the final answer is p equals 2 over 3.
P equals 2 over 3. Correct. Make sense? Next. Catherine.
Can you do number 16?
16? Yeah, what? Yeah. If C is 5/9, this is number 16. C is equal to 5/9, parentheses F. Is it F minus 32? I think that's right. How do you get F by itself? Well, you tell me. Mia Galini, what do you get rid of first? Yeah, question. Sure, go ahead. Sorry, it's in the way. Yeah, which fraction? What are you looking at?
Oh, wait, we didn't.
I want to get F by itself.
Oh, sorry, you put it over 1.
I'm sorry?
Don't you put it over 1?
Whoa.
Could. Okay.
You.
What do you want to get rid of first?
The.
What's farthest away from the
The 5/9.
5/9? Okay, so how do you get rid of the 5/9?
You. Oh gosh.
Well, do they add it on, subtract it on, multiply it on, or divide it on? They multiply, so
So
we
you divide.
divide. You're going to divide both sides by 5/9. Now, how do you divide by a fraction?
You multiply by the
Reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 5/9?
9/5.
9/5. Now these cancel, you don't have to worry about it, but it's going to be 9/5 times C. Does that make sense? Multiplying by the reciprocal. And then the leftover is going to be F minus 32. Brendan, one more step.
Me? Oh,
Yep.
you add 32.
Add 32. Correct. So your final answer should be F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Yeah.
Okay, so basically what happens is, so Jack and I, we were kind of dumb. No, and then what happened is we did 32 plus C divided by 5/9. Is that fine? Like we didn't multiply, we just kept it as.
Dividing by a fraction should be multiplying by the reciprocal.
So can we?
Jack and me are
It's
kind of
C.
dumb.
It's this one.
Yeah, so that's why you lost it. Yeah, when you're dividing by a fraction, you need to multiply the reciprocal, because having a fraction inside a fraction is considered mathematically rude. Andy, question? As soon as Ms. Bell gets back. Next. Yeah.
What does that say?
Oh, did anybody else have this? It shows up on my test every once in a while. FWYH. It means for what you had. That's usually to your benefit. What that means, do you remember the, We did corn and wheat problems in here, right? Or did we?
No.
Never mind, forget
No,
that.
no.
Forget I said anything,
Like, is
that's
there a
next year.
story?
That's right, that's a
Corn
different,
and wheat
that's a
problem?
different problem altogether.
Can you explain it?
Shh, not now. But, let's just say you have like a 10-step problem, and everything is based on the first step. Let's assume you do the first step wrong. Now that means that all the other 9 steps are gonna have wrong answers. Make sense? Even if you do it correctly. What I do is I say, okay, the first one's wrong, but I manually go in and check, by the way, you're welcome, and see if the wrong answer was used correctly from that point on. If it was, I don't take off any more points. I only take off points from the very first problem and give you credit for the other ones. And I put this, I usually put okay for what you had, which means what you had was wrong, but you did it okay after that. Now, if you made a few other errors, I might say -3 for what you had. If you made a whole bunch of catastrophic errors, I might be like -6 for what you had. But if everything was done correctly from that point, it'd be okay for you. I think like 10% of the time it would work against you. There are a couple of times where somebody like say they gave me the totally wrong quadratic formula. Like so, this actually happened in the past, at my previous school. Somebody did this. Something like that. Which was nice try, but it's not the quadratic formula. But I say, okay, that problem's wrong, but I'll take the A, B, and C, because the next problem will say now use it and get solve for X. I will look and see if the A, B, and C will actually give, if they use this correctly, let's just say, I'm just gonna present something. Let's say A is 1, B is 3, and C is 2. Let's just try that. What they should get is X equals -3 plus or minus, or not even plus or minus, they goofed that up, -4 times 1 times 2, all over 2 times 1. It should be like -3 minus 8, so -11 over 2. If they gave me that as the next answer, I'd give them full credit, because at least they plugged it in correctly. They plugged it in and it was correct, not incorrect.
Wait a second.
In other words, if you got the formula wrong but you used it properly after that, I don't double whammy you on the points. Does that make sense?
So,
But every once in a while, somebody has the wrong answer, the formula, and then magically gets the exact right answer down here. They'd get like 1 plus or minus the square root of 7 over 2 or something like that. And I'm looking at this thinking, where did you get that? The answer from somebody else's paper. That's when I clobber them. So, question?
okay, so,
Yes?
oh yeah, oh yes, I understand that. Wait, stop laughing, I need to change. I'm sorry.
Give some space. Go.
So, stop, I'm trying, I know I just went on, wait, no. I'm sorry.
Take a few seconds and gather your thoughts. Anybody else? Questions? Now's a good time to ask.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
What
so
you got?
what if we did like X equals C? And then we plugged in C.
No.
And then we
I
got-
mean, if it's that
We
ridiculous,
forgot it.
no, no. First of all, I'd probably take off -10 out of
What
10,
if you
so
got X
it
equals
wouldn't
C
help you
and got
much.
the right answer?
I'm sorry, what?
What if we did like X equals -b minus 4ac all divided by 2a, and then like the wrong formula obviously, and then we somehow got the right answer, but you looked through the steps and saw how they got it and stuff, and it was correct.
There is no mathematical way to get the right answer that way, if you do everything properly.
Well, what if you
It's
like?
the wrong answer.
Well, what if like A,
What
B,
if
and
it's a
C
lucky
like
guess?
matched perfectly with the A,
If it was a
B, and C,
complete,
then-
utter accident, so that in the cosmic coincidence, they happen to have the exact same answers, then I'd probably throw out the problem. Just because that was just such a horrible typo, or such a horrible accident.
Maybe it's cool. Maybe they have
Yeah.
superpowers.
Something else needed to. Oh, you already, you got water. Isabel, question. Okay, face front. Number 5, let me see. Yeah, I see it. So simplify, you don't have to solve this, you can't, by the way, there's no equal sign. So you should not get an answer of A equals anything on number 5. It's impossible to do that. Isabella, do me a favor. Can you read off for me? It's just one big fraction.
Yeah.
What's the top?
6a cubed minus 30a squared
Okay.
plus 36a.
Okay. What's the bottom?
All over 10a squared minus 18a.
And that's it? Okay. First thing I do, when I simplify, first of all, are there any like terms or no? Isabella, go ahead. Any like terms to add together?
No.
No. But, oh, everybody look up here. By the way, don't horse around this. Look up here. Please pay close attention. This happened on multiple tests. Do you see the 30 and the 10? Is this legal?
Yes. No.
Because the dang.
Oh, I actually didn't do
No.
that. I just
I
did
did that once
something
on the
dumber.
test.
It's an addition sign.
In disguise.
You cannot cancel addition with division. It does not work.
Did that once and I can't do it.
It's tempting. The a squared on top, the a squared on the bottom. It's so tempting. But you say to that temptation, get thee behind me, Satan. It does not work. So what you can do
You are.
is factor. Shh, look up here. Stay looking up here. Somebody factor the top for me. Mary, help me out. Yeah, there's a GCF of 6a. What's left behind? Yep. Good. Let me see. Isabella, take over. What's the bottom GCF? I think it's 10, right? Yeah, 2a. Good. What's left behind?
5a minus 1.
Good. Does anything reduce? Go.
Oh, the 6A and the 2A because
The a's cancel. A lot of people had put 3a up here. They canceled the 6 and the 2 down to 3, but they left the a here. The a's cancel. They're separate. The 6 and the 2 go down to 3 and 1. You just leave it 3. This thing does factor to a minus 3, a minus 2. And this is 5a minus 9. Question, does anything else cancel? Do any of the parentheses cancel?
No.
No. If I had had an a minus 3 on the bottom, that would have been beautiful. Cancel, cancel. But at this point, there's your answer. Question. It's always good to factor to see if something cancels. If it doesn't, it's not your fault. Just leave it. Go.
Is it legal to, like, you have that, you have the answer, and you want to find A. Is it legal to have, like, equal 0? Just make
Nope.
Why not?
There is no equals. In other words, if it were equal to 5 or something, you could subtract 5 from both sides and get it equal to 0. That's legal. But if there's no equal sign ever, then
it's
there's no
never
way to solve it.
possible? Well, what if you have, like, the same exact thing equal to the same exact thing?
If it's identical to itself,
Yeah.
like this stuff equals this stuff,
Yeah, and then
then you
do
get
like,
a equals all real numbers. You'd get like 0 equals 0, which is something really weird. We have run into that before. That's all real numbers. What if you had come up with 0 equals 2? Remember what that means?
not possible.
Not possible, no solution.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, after 5 minutes-ish, you can probably squeeze 1 or 2 problems in. Go. Number 4. Let me look. Yes, the restrictions. Where do you look for the restrictions?
The denominator.
Yes, the denominator. The numerator does not give you restrictions, at least not in this class. In secondary algebra and pre-calc, it will start to give restrictions. That's a long story.
What will?
I'll explain how in a minute. Only sometimes, and I'll show you why. But you can kind of ignore the top. It's just the bottom cannot be 0. Here's what I would write. Physically write that. And now solve. You can actually use algebra.
Wait, why can't you just?
Add 7 to both sides. Just make sure you don't put equals by mistake. X squared not equal to 7. One more step. Yeah,
Where applies it?
sort of, kind of.
Square root it.
Square rooted. How many answers?
two.
2. If you lost 5 points, you probably forgot the plus minus.
Oh,
X
okay.
equals plus or minus square root of 7, not equal to. Those are your 2 restrictions. Right, question.
Wait, so it's just when you go to like cross off the top? Wait,
Well,
no,
I'm
this
just
is how it doesn't
I'm just
matter.
ignoring the top.
Also,
I'm not really crossing it off. I'm just pretending it doesn't exist. Yeah.
can you do extra credit number 2?
Yeah. Any other questions on this? Quick call?
Wait, you said you were gonna show us.
All right, real fast. Are there any times where the top would give you a restriction? Yeah, but they're kind of sneaky, like this. Whoops. There's a time where the top has a restriction. You see why? Because they cheated. They have a fraction in there. So here, x cannot be 0 and x cannot be 2. It's the same rule, it's just weird.
So wait.
Yeah.
So you could have thousands of fractions in the top thing, and then x can.
Yeah, it's considered extremely mathematically rude to do that because, like, when you have fraction inside fraction inside fraction, people's eyes start boggling. That's one of the reasons why we just get a common denominator and then divide by the reciprocal. Multiply by the
Wait,
wow.
so for those,
Multiply by the reciprocal.
like you can't cross off the top or whatever, or no.
You're not supposed to know this, and then I'll get extra credit number 2. There's one other type of thing on the top that could have a restriction, as far as we know.
Radicals.
Here, x cannot be 5, but there are restrictions to the radical. What kind of numbers can you not put into square roots? 0 you can.
Negative.
Negatives.
Raise your hand. Negatives. In other words, x has to be 0 or above. That's called a restriction. It's a weird restriction. It looks different than the dividing restrictions. But you'd have x can be all numbers greater than 0 except 5.
Could you just put x cannot be all negative numbers?
You could, but then you'd have to include that.
And
Yeah, theoretically, yes. Okay. All right, extra credit number 2. Extra credit number 2 is the quadratic formula. Are you sure that's what you want?
Oh, what was the question that you asked?
Number 20 was, the answer was
Yes.
the quadratic formula. We did that in class.
Yes.
Look in your notes.
Yes.
We did the quadratic formula in class, sorry.
Oh yeah. Can you do extra credit number 1 though?
Yes, I can do that if I'm fast. Tell you what, Brendan, do you have your test in front of you? Can you read it off?
In fact, I do. I have Jack's test.
Go for it.
1. Okay.
Yeah.
1 over x squared minus 13x plus 40.
Hold on. Okay,
Plus 40, and then equals
keep going.
1 plus x minus 4
Over that stuff.
x squared minus 13x plus 40.
Do we have a common denominator? We gotta go fast. Everybody look up here. Don't spaz or start chit-chatting. Do we have a common denominator? For everything. Yeah.
Are you asking what the
Do we have a common denominator yet?
yes, x squared minus 13x plus 40.
For 2 of them.
I mean for the one we need to
I need it for all 3. Multiplied by what?
X squared minus 13x plus 40.
Bingo. Multiply that on top and bottom.
Mr. Bob, in this case, couldn't you just machine run it?
And once you get this up there, yep. 1 equals, make sure you multiply this in, x squared minus 13x plus 40, and then add this, plus x minus 4. These combine. 1 equals x squared minus 12x plus 36. Subtract the 1 to get the answer down to 0. X squared minus 12x plus 35. You can do the quadratic formula here, or it actually factors to x minus 7, x minus 5. It unfoils. You should get x equals 7 and x equals 5. There's just one catch. You see this down here? It factors to x minus 8, x minus 5. Can somebody give me the restrictions? X cannot be
8.
8 and x cannot be.
5.
Do we have any problems here?
Yes. No. Yes, 5.
Yes.
We have to physically throw away our 5 because
Physically.
it was restricted. This is your only solution. Question.
When is spring break?
Oh my goodness. we have, people are looking ahead, aren't they? There are 2 more weeks of full school, then spring break, full week.
When's
So
summer?
from the 4th to the 8th.
What?
When's
Same
summer?
time it is every year.
Okay, guys, don't get used to this.
Starting in
but-
June. Okay, any last questions?
No.
All right, please stand. Arise. Let us pray. Remus. Silencio si place. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Silence if you please. Yeah, please. See you later. Bye.